Hi, Viviana. This is Anne Kullberg, and I am here to take a look at your 3 entries into CP Treasures and give you my critique. So this is one of them. This one is called Ricardo, and it's 9 by 8. This one is called Sweet Molly, and it is 8 by 8. And the one that we chose for Hidden Treasures, CP Hidden Treasures, is this one called Sun, S-U-N, which is also 8 by 8. So we'll start with this one. And yeah, poor guy, Ricardo. Looks like he had a tough time, maybe lost a fight somewhere. There's something really nice about the fur, the mane, I guess. It looks, you know, a lion's mane isn't going to look all brushed and manicured and, you know, like he just came out of a beauty salon. It should look a little rough, and I think that you captured that really well. Yeah, I think you know, he also looks older, and something about the way you've handled the mane, I think, has brought that feeling or that into our consciousness, so that, yeah, I think it's really that I really like the way you've handled the mane. The eyes are nice. The you know, there's not very much other than I guess if I were to say how would I improve this piece, I actually think the only thing I might suggest is to get rid of the white. And I think that's one of the reasons that colored paper is such a popular substrate surface, because you know, you automatically get a non-white background, and when you have something that is just white in the background with no sort of soft vignette at all, like if there had been just a little bit of color, some green like here or blue, like to suggest sky, real soft right behind, especially these lighter areas of his mane. And then just a little something down here, some brown, some green, something to sort of anchor him. You do have a shadow, but I think that's probably the main thing. It kind of takes a piece from illustration. It takes a piece, and it's like sort of like illustration at this point. And if you put in a background, even just a soft background, it sort of nudges it towards fine art. There's, like, you know, different categories of art. But this is beautifully done. And poor guy. And then we have Sweet Molly. And she is really sweet. We had a lot of dog entries this year. So dogs had to be like sort of extra in order to make it in. Extra something. And there's nothing wrong with Molly, Sweet Molly. It's very nicely done. It's just not anything that gives like amazing impact, or, you know, it kind of takes your breath away, or wow, that's a different perspective, or surprising. So she's just sweet, and she is. I think maybe the weakest part, and I mean, I can see why I think it would be hard. Well, actually, there's 2 things I can think of. One is that the texture on this blanket rug floor is a little loose. It's you know, I think that this is, maybe it's all the same thing, a blanket. Now this edge here, by paying a good attention to the bumpiness of this folded fabric, you've really given us a sense of the texture. And of course, that's much harder to do down here where there is no edge. And but yeah, that's nicely done. But then the other thing is that these shadows are all just gray. And that's like a little hard to believe. Like every shadow, every cast shadow on here is just a gray-brown. And I find that hard to believe that this cast shadow isn't a different color than this cast shadow. Because you, this, it feels to me that it would only make sense that the fur, which is sort of, warm, wouldn't cast a warmer shadow than the blanket, which is cool. So pay attention to the colors in your shadows. The one we chose for CP Hidden Treasures is this one. I mean, right away, I think we were all drawn to the eyes and the nose because those two are beautifully done. I think you do a good job with sort of smooth, glassy surfaces. Well, I mean, the nose isn't glassy, but it's very, much smoother than fur. But really, this is a very nicely done animal. I mean, the ears are a little bit. So I'll tell you what it is. It's these, and I see this a lot. If you've watched any other of these critiques, this is something I say over and over and over again. The whiskers, the lines are a little awkward. So you've got this line that is awkward. Some of these lines in the ear are a little awkward. Some of these whiskers are very nice, and then others are a little awkward. And not by much, but just a little. Let's see, where can I point out the especially nice ones? Well, also they're a little bit thick, and I know it's a really hard thing to do in color pencil because you only, you're limited by how thin your stylus is. This is definitely awkward up here. This is just not very believable. These right here are beautifully elegant and graceful and flowing. And they're smaller. If all of these had been a little skinnier like this one is quite nice, but this one not so much. This one isn't bad. Oh, you know what? That's another thing. Is like how it ends. Like it has to end skinnier than it starts. That's just the nature of these whiskers and these sort of odd hairs like this. So that's what happens here. This one actually, even though I said it wasn't, that ends perfectly. It's really skinny down at the bottom. This one ends perfectly because it just fades away. But the ones that just end don't look as realistic. So watch that. Oh, and then I guess the crop. I would love to see the bottom of his chin be finished off. So if you just scooted him up a little bit in the paper, this is a 9 by, no, this is 8 by 8 it says, but I don't think that's 8 by 8. Yeah, it would have been nice if just a little bit, if that had finished off. I mean, it's not a big deal. And I like your background. The dark green is very nice. I love these hairs here, how they just sort of fade right off into the background. Beautifully done. So, yeah, and this fur here, the short fur is so nice. Your little, whatever those black things are, that the whiskers come out of, so well done. I would say that it just, up here, up at this edge here, it gets a little less, like you ran out of attention and focus, really. It's like this got rushed a little bit versus this area here. A lot of times people start with the eyes. I think almost everybody does. Personally, when I'm doing something like this, I leave the eyes to the end or to pretty deep into it. And it's because if I start with my favorite part, my focus and attention and sort of passion for the piece starts to drop off as I get to areas that aren't so interesting to me, or they're sort of tedious, or maybe a little difficult. So I do tend to leave difficult parts to the end, but I don't want my attention to lag. And sometimes I think that's what's happening. People do the faces, and then the rest is just like, oh, I want to get to my next face. So I'm suggesting maybe that's what happened here. But I mean, overall, it's a very nice piece, and we are very happy to have it in CP Treasures, Viviana. So, all right, thank you. Bye.